get back to Pete Carroll.
Okay, let's do it.
We played that at the beginning for a reason because he spoke yesterday about some of the stuff that came out of the game on Monday night. Here he is on what they've characterized as a true game-time decision, and nobody knew. It's one of the few times where nobody had any idea, right up until the start of the game, who was playing quarterback, Drew Lock or Geno Smith. Smith has a groin injury, and we found out, as possibly Lock did, at the very last moment, you're the guy, go do it, and he got it done. Here's Carroll talking about that yesterday.
Geno was not able to go hard in practice during the week because he had tweaked a little bit of something the week before. We just wanted to just save him for as long as we could, give him as much recovery time as possible. So he did a minimal amount of work on the field. Drew took the rest of the bulk of the work. He looked great in pregame. He could throw the ball. He could drop back. I chased him. We chased him a little bit to try to get him to move a little bit. But he still hadn't had the opportunity to go full speed run and really show it. And all of the trainers and the docs all wanted him to get another week if he could get it. It was a total gut-wrenching conversation because he looked better than we thought he would look in pregame. He might have done great, but at least we bought him another week, and now he's ready to go.
Yeah, they bought him the week by getting a much-needed win, snapping a 4-game losing streak, and Drew Lock was awesome down the stretch, Chris. And I don't believe that Drew Lock was so great that all of a sudden it vaults him over Geno Smith. They're already saying Geno Smith is going to play against the Titans this weekend. But, boy, it does give you something to think about after the season if you're the Seahawks because they can pull the plug on that Geno Smith contract. They didn't accidentally draft it that way that they could get out after 1 year. Locke was back on a 1-year deal. Both are there, and both have shown they can do it. And maybe they find a way to keep both of them together. Maybe that's in the best interest of the team. Keep Geno Smith there, have Drew Lock around, let him compete a little bit. That's what Pete Carroll always says.
Yeah.
And that was the big irony of, remember when Colin Kaepernick was available and the Seahawks were the only team that was interested, and Carroll said, well, he's a starter and we don't need a starter. Well, what about competition? He's always about compete everywhere, compete. I don't know. Maybe we're evolving toward an era in Seattle where you've got Drew Lock, you got Geno Smith, and they will compete next year to see who the best guy is.
Yeah, hey, Drew Lock did some good things in the game, right? There's no doubt about that. We know he's got talent. He can throw the ball. I think the question still is, can he just play the game consistently, week after week? Pass attempt after pass attempt, where he takes care of the ball, doesn't do some dumb things that we've seen him do in the past, whether it's Seattle or with the Denver Broncos. I think those are the questions. I don't think it's the physical ability. You see there, he can drop it in the bucket. He can drive the ball. It's all of that. It's kind of the instincts and playing the game and making the right quarterback decisions. I think that's the big thing with Drew Lock. I think, in a way, too, hey, it's Geno Smith. He was banged up like Pete Carroll talked about. He had the elbow arm injury before that. It's been a number of weeks where he's kind of been battling with injury and not being totally 100%. So I understand them starting Drew Lock. As far as the two quarterback thing and your Pete Carroll and the competition, it's a good thought. I don't think both of them will be there. I think it'll be one, and it'll be maybe a drafting of a quarterback or something like that to maybe create the competition you're talking about. Keep one. Hey, we got somebody for right now to make us good. Draft a quarterback. Hey, if he blows us away, maybe he could be a starter like Russell Wilson was as a rookie, but we got him there to compete, get better, and maybe he's the quarterback of the future. That's maybe that's kind of how I would see the offseason playing out with the Seattle Seahawks, at least in my mind, Mike.
I can't help but wonder, Chris, if and when a good backup quarterback, who in lieu of getting himself pigeonholed at number 2 behind a starter who may go wire to wire, decides to say, I'm not signing with anybody. I'm going to wait.
Yeah.
Because inevitably somebody's getting hurt.
Right.
Inevitably somebody's going to be out for the season. We used to say that about running backs. Now we have to say it about quarterbacks. Used to be, you can't bank on a quarterback getting injured. They don't get injured. Well, after this year, there have been 5-6 season-ending injuries to quarterbacks, and Drew Lock could have been Jake Browning, could have been Nick Mullins, Josh Dobbs, Jaron Hall, could have been out there saying, I'll wait, could have been the replacement for Aaron Rodgers if the Jets would have been willing to do anything other than Zach Wilson. So there may be something to be said for saying, I'm just going to wait. I'm not going to rush and take a 1-year, $5 million deal to be somebody's backup.
Yeah.
I'm going to train on my own.
I hear you.
I'm going to spend my own money.
Right.
I'm going to have myself ready.
Right.
And then I'm going to have leverage when one of these guys pops an Achilles tendon. The problem is so many of these teams want to go next man up.
That's right.
You better be a lot better than the option they have in-house.
Yes.
Because the safer course, I was having this conversation last night with some radio folks here in West Virginia, because Will Greer is talented, and Will Greer was good at WVU, and he can't get on the playing field in a season that has brought us all these guys that we're like, well, who the hell is that? Easton Stick, North Dakota State? Like, how's Easton Stick on the field and not Will Greer? Well, Greer's in L.A. now with the Chargers, and maybe he'll get there. But I think coaches are so comfortable with the guys who know the offense, know the players, the quarterback knows them, they know the quarterback. There's just a greater comfort level there than plucking a guy off the couch, especially when that guy has no track record.
Yeah.
Even though he may be a better thrower of the football and have more potential, this isn't about potential. This is about not drowning. This is about putting a guy on the field who's going to know who his teammates are and make things happen. So I think for a guy of a certain talent level, that's one of the options now that needs to be considered.
Well,
I'm not signing in March. I'm going to wait and see who gets hurt.
I hear what you say, and I think, to your point too, right? And you named off some of the guys this year, the ones that are having the most success. I mean, we know we're having Joe Flacco, but that's a different scenario. That's a guy that's, been played a ton of football, has great experience, doesn't need the practice and know the system quite like everybody else. But I think in the other cases, you talk about, Jake Browning or Gardner Minshew, that more fits with what you're talking about. Next guy up, I know the system. It's not a big shock to our football team here to reorganize our attack or do what we got to do around this new backup quarterback there. I could see Geno Smith doing that more than Drew Lock, to your point, Mike. Geno Smith, I think, has been around and played enough football to where he could maybe wait a little longer and be picky and choosy that way. Maybe, and not want to sign for a team. And then I think a team would be comfortable, with him in that scenario to a degree. I haven't thought about this a whole lot, right? But Drew Lock, he's a guy that I'd go, no, he needs to be on a team right now. He hasn't played enough football. We've seen him repetitively do some reckless stuff at the quarterback position. I wouldn't trust him to go cold turkey, off the couch, come here and run the football team all of a sudden. Geno Smith, I'd have a little more confidence. So I think it's a little bit about the nuance of the situation to your point there and see where it goes. But I think that will or could be a thought for some of those veteran quarterbacks when it comes time to sign in the offseason.
And Geno Smith is under contract for 2 more years. The Seahawks have to make their decision by the 5th day of the waiver period. That's the 5th day after the Super Bowl, the Friday after Super Bowl week. That's when $12.7 million in salary for next year becomes fully guaranteed. So no reason to think they won't keep him around. It's not an unreasonable contract as quarterbacks go, and he's done well for them, and they may think that this is the guy. If they could keep him together with Lock, maybe that's the way to go. One last thing about Lock before we move on, because really we'd have a much different opinion about Lock if that first play from the final drive when they were on their own 8-yard line, the ball bounces up in the air, if the Eagles had caught it. And I said this yesterday, Chris, there have been so many times where on one of these drives late in a game, there's an opportunity to slam the door, and it doesn't happen. And I said to my son when it happened on Monday night, here it comes. They had their near miss. The Eagles could have ended it. Now watch, here they go. Boom, off they go. And I feel like it takes so much of the heat off of the team that's trying to score when they have one of these near disasters where it's almost over before it starts, where they loosen up. And I think the defense almost thinks, oh crap, here we go. Here it comes. And it mashes together, because there have been multiple times where I've seen this happen. It happened last Monday night with the Titans when there was an opportunity for the Dolphins to pick off Will Levis when the Dolphins were up 14. And they didn't get it. And boom, touchdown. Get the ball back, boom, touchdown. I just feel like there's something weird psychological that happens when you have one of those near misses.
I don't think you're
Asante
wrong.
Samuel dropped interception in Super Bowl 42.
Sure, right.
It just kind of opens the door to something crazy happening.
The Tuck rule fumble with Brady and all that. I mean, what would life be like that if that didn't happen? I mean, you could go, you're right. There's a lot of great moments in history where you'd go, if they just remember a few plays before that, right? Joe Montana to Jerry Rice or John Taylor in the end zone. Threw a ball right into the safety's chest like 4 plays before that. Could have been over. Bengals could have been the Super Bowl champions. I mean, yeah, it's a tough sport, and you got to be a little lucky at times. And I think to your point there with that, like mental gymnastics or the psychology of that, I think the defense goes, we could have ended the game right there, So there's a little of that's like, I can't believe we blew that opportunity. And the offense is going, holy crap, we almost lost it there. Holy, we better get on our P's and Q's and, cross our T's and dot our I's. Or it's just
we're on house money now.
Well, sure.
You know what?
Yeah, we dodged a bullet
dead.
there.
Let's go play.
Yeah, we dodged a bullet. But, that was certainly an opportunity by the Eagles. And then, it wasn't long after that. Bing, bong, boom. Drew Lock hits a few passes, and all of a sudden we got a touchdown. Really amazing. It was an amazing thing. And I think to your point with that play and even the game in general, right? We talk about this, I feel like, almost every Monday. One team that was controlling the game and had a chance to be up more than what they were, and they let that team hang around. And it's NFL football, and it's NFL football players who are damn good, and you let them hang around, they're going to make a few plays and make things interesting. And, it became more than interesting for Philadelphia, that's for sure. And, that was a big loss for them, a big loss in the NFC, and, of course, makes the 49ers feel more comfy and cushy at the top of the NFC.
Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.